Assalamu'alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I trust everyone watching this as well. So today we'll just be discussing the very final school of Islamic law, which is basically the I got that right. So it is the hanbaliyya school. Sorry, I was just checking my notes just to make sure I was doing the right one. So the hanbaliyya school was founded by Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal of Baghdad, and Imam Hanbal did not establish a separate school himself. It was more so done by his disciples and followers at the time. So the Hanbaliya school was, I would say, the most conservative out of the four, and its rigidity and intolerance eventually caused its decline in the few years, unfortunately. However, in the 18th century, the school was revived slightly due to the growing influence of the House of Saud. So today, the Hanbaliya school is followed by and basically practiced, I guess, only in Saudi Arabia. There'll probably be other places, but the masses are in Saudi Arabia. Okay. So although the Muslims generally apply Islamic law according to the principles and details laid down by the four ancient jurists, legal situations keep arising from time to time for each. There are no clear answers in these early schools of law. So basically, to cope with the ever changes and aspects of Islamic society, the particular in the light of new facts, specialists in the field of Islamic law are asked to give their decisions, so using traditional tools as well as legal sciences, just to make it more authentic. So such decisions is basically called fatwa, and the religious scholar who gives this decision is called a mufti. Shout out Mufti Mink. Shout out. My guy is on social media a lot. I see him everywhere. Shout out Mufti Mink, okay? So just like before, I've loaded up my notes. I've got a lot of key aspects basically of this school. We'll just be going through them. So the very first key feature of the Hanbaliya school is the primacy of hadith. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal himself was particularly rigorous in adhering to the hadith itself, and he strongly opposed the reliance on weak or fabricated hadiths. He was known to reject opinions solely on analogy and when they did not have strong textual support from the both Quran as well as hadith itself. Okay, and then the second point being the limited use of ijma, limited use of consensus, So while consensus is an important factor in principle in Islamic jurisprudence, the Hanbaliya school is more selective about when it is used and when it's not used. Okay, so its Hanbali scholars prefer following the text directly rather than relying on consensus of later scholars if there's no clear or direct evidence, basically. So third point being just emphasizing on Quran and Hadith. Like most, the Hanbali school places a strong emphasis on both, and it's their primary source. Why shouldn't it be? So they always prioritize the practices of the people of Medina, at the time, the Ahl al-Madina, if you want to use it in proper terms, expensive words, dictionary words, I guess they were just considered to have a closer connection to the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the time, because they were in Medina. Like, come on now. Bam. So like I mentioned, there was always limited use of the analogies, the qiyas, if you will. So the Hanbaliya school is known for its cautious use of qiyas. So Imam Ahmad himself believed that it should only be used when there is a clear analogy to a previous case mentioned in the Quran or Hadith itself, and he was hesitant to ever expand on the law through analogy without a strong textual evidence. So he was kind of like a see it to believe it type of guy, like I want to know because I can hold it in my hand. Don't explain what a mic is from your word of mouth. Like, I want to know by having a mic. That's the best analogy I can give. So another important factor, the whole ijtihad of it all. So what is his independent reasoning? So Imam Ahmad advocated for ijtihad, but he was cautious in its applications. Like I mentioned, he always preferred adhering to textual and factual sources, unless the issue could not be resolved through the direct reference to the Quran or Hadith itself. Then he would just have to wing it in the sense, but not wing it with no knowledge, wing it with all the knowledge that we've all been given, and then just making the best possible decision of it all. So there were fewer reliance on this entire analogy of itself. So unlike the Hanafi school, which emphasizes on the concept of it all and the juridical preferences, there we go, the Hanbaliyya school itself does not employ these principles as frequently. The Hanbalis are less likely to prioritize personal judgment in favor of a more literal interpretation of texts. So they would always just run directly through to the text rather than, winging it with the best knowledge behind that wingness, if that makes sense. So again, the flexibility in local customs, right? What was the Hanbaliya school's process on this? So the Hanbaliya school itself is somewhat more flexible as well when it comes to considering local customs and practices, since they were based in Medina, and especially if they align with the values and teachings of Islam itself. So that's a given. That's how they all kind of work. Like we'll come up with rulings that are not in the Quran or Hadith itself, so long as they do not combat and contradict the teachings of the Islamic law and principles overall of their religion. So to conclude, the Hanbalis insist on literal injunctions of the Holy Quran and Hadith, and they are a little bit more strict in the observance of their religious duties. Yeah, that's the best way I can end it off regarding them. But yeah, guys, so that was the final video for the day. I did a lot of speaking, a lot of fact checking, a lot of big words. I'm done. I need coffee. But I hope everyone benefited from all the information that I managed to pick up and learn and try and make sense of today. And once again, I want to say shukran for supporting, showing love, commenting, reposting, sharing, following, as well as subscribing to the channel, both the TikTok and YouTube. I do appreciate it. And inshallah, I will see you guys when I see you, and I hope everyone stays safe. Please be vigilant out there, and shukran again. Assalamu'alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.